Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Radium and today I have another video for you where we're going to be reviewing the Calamity mod's various legendary weapons. For those who don't know about them, the Calamity mod has these very unique items which are dropped extremely rarely from certain bosses, and all of them have their own unique properties which is specific only to them, such as various attacks within one weapon, amazing DPS, and weapon scaling. I did obtain all of these weapons legitimately. All of them came through intensive grinding, and although it was difficult, I didn't want to use cheat sheet because I wanted it to feel legit. And for the sake of the video, everything is reforged to maximum to give a decent amount of damage and make the testing possible. The way I will be testing these weapons, by the way, is a single target, multiple target, and a boss, which will serve as an applied DPS test. The enemy I'll be using for those bosses is Providence the Profane Goddess. Alright, I'm going to be starting with melee this time round, just because it has a good amount of variety and the weapons are very standard. Good way to start. Starting off, we have the Asgardian Aegis. It's a legendary sword dropped by Gollum, and it has two different attacks which are incredibly good. One is a close range true melee attack, which is incredibly effective, and the second one is like a blast. I don't fully understand what all of these weapons do, but one thing I do understand is that all the legendary weapons have this property, but they have two unique attacks depending on left and right clicks. I've got some target dummies here to try the weapon out on. Let's see how it does. Okay, so we're looking at around 8,000, 8,500, 9,000. So it's pretty decent DPS for maybe like post Moonlords, maybe pushing up to just underneath the Devourer of Gods. It's pretty solid. For the projectile though, we're looking around the same, honestly. Sorry, it's hitting the other dummies, but by the looks of it, it's hitting about, oh jeez, I'd say just around 10,000 consistently. That's pretty good. On group enemies, if you swing it, it'll do significantly more. It seems to increase for group enemies up to 100,000 damage though, which is insane. And for the long range attack, it doesn't pierce, but it shoots these small flares out of it when the projectile collides, which allows to do slightly more damage than usual. Alright, we've got a little bit of time left for this weapon, so I want to give it an applied test. I'm going to be using it the same as every other weapon in this video, against the Providence boss, which is a very late game boss with 800,000 health, so it should be a very good test for this weapon. Let's see how it does. Alright, so obviously we're going to have to use the long range attack for this fight. I don't really think it's going to be possible to use otherwise, and I am quite rusty on this fight, so please excuse me if I'm not doing all that well. Okay, one thing I'm noticing straight away is that the projectiles aren't all that fast, but that's okay. Let's see if I can get adrenaline and see how much damage that would do, if I can, that is. But yeah, this is pretty solid. This definitely would be a viable option for this fight, and in this world I've only defeated up to the Devourer of Gods, so it's not at its full strength yet. I decided not to go for the full strength to give it a more valid test. Alright, here we have adrenaline. Oh, he just transformed as I did it. Yeah, this is overall pretty solid. It's not necessarily on par with what you're supposed to be using. Like at this stage of the game, you have weapons like the Omega Biome Blade, the Elemental Ray, the Last Prism. Like those tier weapons are still slightly outshining this, and this is a stronger version of the ones you'd be using at this stage anyways. So even with a handicap for the other weapons, this is still slightly falling short. But I can imagine this will be a very cool item to get at the time when you're supposed to get it. Alright, next up guys, we have this sword called the Briny Baron, which I believe is dropped from Duke Fishron. Once again, as all legendary weapons do, it has two different attacks. One is a true melee, which spawns this tornado on top of the swing, which is very nice. This would be very good for like crowd control events, I guess. It does about 5,000 damage, which isn't too great considering, but what can you do? And this projectile pierces and does about 3,500 damage on a single target. For multiple enemies, obviously it's going to do a little bit more, but it doesn't seem to stack as well as the Aegis Blade did. It's still pretty effective though, not going to lie. And as term for the projectile, oh, it only seems to pierce one enemy, which is kind of a bit bad. I don't think this weapon's all that strong, honestly, but that's okay. We'll give it a test against Providence anyway, see how it does. I'm taking it light on these because the next weapon I have is just going to destroy the boss. Yeah, this is incredibly effective. Right, I'm going to try and put up adrenaline and see what we're looking at, but this is very lackluster. This is like, I'd say Vortex Beta kind of DPS, if not less. So, pre-Moonlord items. I think these weapons are more of a novelty than to be used for these kind of things, though. They're incredibly rare and very unique to the mod. So, it's a very nice addition for them to be here, nonetheless. And a lot of them are very nice, so can't really complain all that much. Alright guys, next up we have this weapon called the Cosmic Discharge. This one's gonna kind of outshine the rest, I believe, because it is a drop from the Devourer of Gods, which is obviously going to make it a lot stronger than a lot of these weapons here. Let's see, it does just over 3,000 attack damage. I've got all of these accessories, so it'll probably do a little bit less. But it looks incredible, honestly. Ooh. Okay, so it's like an upgraded version of the Solar Eruption, I guess you could say. That's incredibly nice. Okay, what kind of damage are we looking at? Ooh, oh my god. Jesus. Okay, so at a distance, we're looking at about 80,000 to 90,000, maybe 100,000 occasionally. But I know if this is anything like the Solar Eruption, yeah. We're pushing up to 300,000 DPS close range. That's incredible. Come on, it's sticking as well. Oh my god. And obviously, this is just going to stack when it comes to multiple enemies. Ooh, doesn't stack as much as I thought it would. But still pretty decent nonetheless. Reaching almost 400, yeah, around 400,000 damage. That's very good. I kind of feel bad for using this against Providence, but this weapon is the one exception actually that doesn't have a right click attack. It's just got the left click, which is the flail. Right, let's see how it does. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, it does very well in certain situations, I'll say that much. But one thing affecting this weapon in terms of late game usage would be the distance and range. Because I'm guessing you'd be expected to use this weapon for like Yaron and Supreme Calamitus. It does not seem fit to do those fights because of the distance. Like, you have to be extremely close to the bosses. It's unreal. But for things like late game events like the Pumpkin and Frost Moon, as well as the Solar Eclipse, I reckon this would do incredibly. Alright guys, that's it for the melee weapons. Now we're on to the next class, which is Ranger for this video. The Ranger class also has 3 legendary weapons, which all seem incredibly cool. I'm going to be starting with the Blossom Flux, which just looks incredible for a start. Let's see. It does 77 range damage, very fast speed. It has 2 clicks, luckily, which is very exciting. I don't know what that would look for this, but for some reason it has no speed boost. Okay, let's see. What? Wait, what? Bro, this is incredible. I am using incredibly late game accessories, obviously, so this might not be supposed to do this much damage, but yeah, this honestly looks incredible. So yeah, we're looking at about 13,000 to 20,000 DPS on this, depending on the elemental quiver. And for its right click attack, okay, it shoots us a very fast projectile that splits on impact and shoots these spore clouds. That's very nice, actually. So, oh my god. Right, okay, so the weapon is very variable, I'll say that much. The damage peaks and decreases randomly. See, now it's dropping to like 30,000, but it was at 150,000. This is incredibly cool. Okay, so this attack, very solid. This is the first weapon, unlike the melees, accessible at this point. This is the first weapon that seems like it would actually help. Like, it does seem quite effective. I know you wouldn't have this kind of damage, but it still seems viable to me. Alright. Let's see if I can get adrenaline. I kind of want to see what adrenaline looks like for this. I feel like that could be something to be desired, honestly. Oh, never mind. Right, let's see what the spore cloud does. Okay, not quite as significant, but still pretty damn good. Yeah, this thing is very nice. I do prefer the rapid attack though. Okay, let's see. We're looking at, on a single target, 17,000. Like, even when it's not peaking, we're looking at around 15,000 damage per second with adrenaline on. Around 8,000 to 10, just normally, which is amazing. This thing is... This might be one of my favourite ranged weapons in Calamity, honestly. This is just so cool. Alright, the next weapon I have to review is the Pristine Fury. This is dropped from Providence, which obviously is going to make it an incredibly strong weapon. For a start, it looks incredible. I believe it is technically a flamethrower, and it once again has the two different attacks. For the left click, it's an insanely fast flamethrower which shoots these beams. Very nice. Those side shots, by the way, are coming from the Elemental Quiver, an accessory I'm using, which will boost the damage even further. And right click. Oh my god. I don't even know what this does, but it's crazy. Alright, let's see. Left click does... Holy... Okay. This is an amazing weapon, I can tell you that much already. We're looking at about 30, maybe 25,000 to 35,000 DPS. Pushing up to 40k when it spikes. And for this attack... Okay. This seems like the kind of attack which would be very good for, like, piercing. It seems like it would have infinite pierce. Let's see. Yeah, this has no pierce. Maybe one enemy it might be piercing. It did spike then, but that's all the Elemental Quiver. And this, yeah, that's where this thing shines. Incredibly cool, but let's try it out on the Providence boss. Sorry, I keep forgetting its name. I shouldn't be forgetting this boss's name. It's what I'm fighting in my no-hit run next. Regardless, sorry about the lag. Because of Elemental Quiver, it's shooting a lot and it's breaking things, but that's incredibly effective. This doesn't seem so usable for a fast-moving boss like Providence, though. And it just makes the game lag even more, so I'm gonna stay away from that attack. Oh god, I might have to take the old quiver off. It's making game lag too much. For a Providence drop, I think it is very strong. This could probably carry you, maybe even through Devourer of Gods quite easily, if you have the right setup and a good enough PC to run it. Yeah, I really like this weapon. I don't think it's really difficult to like the legendary weapons, they're all made so well. Right, the last weapon we have from the ranged class is called the Sea Searing. I believe it is a legendary drop from the Aquatic Scourge, so it's most likely not going to be as strong as either of these two. But we'll still give it a chance, we'll see what it does. So, it's left click attack. It's this very fast, like clockwork assault rifle style weapon, and I love that weapon, so this is very favoured with me. Let's see what it does in terms of DPS. What? Ooh, that is incredibly nice. I know it's not doing all that much damage, but that is an incredibly cool effect. And I feel like in certain situations, this weapon would destroy. Right, let's see what the left click does. Oh, I forgot to check it out, but... Okay, it's another tornado attack, that's nice. Not necessarily all that powerful, but in the right situation can do a lot. And the left click, well, that shreds. Alright, how does it do against your boy Providence, though? Sorry for only really using this boss. It's just the easiest one to test things out on. And for some reason the boss isn't running with this weapon either. Alright. I'll use Rage. I've had it built up, but yeah, this weapon does not seem optimized for Providence at all, which is okay. It's a very early weapon in comparison. Let me try and get Adrenaline, then I'll probably call it there for this fight. The novelty of these weapons alone, though, is enough to make them like desirable. Like, you won't be using most of these weapons in combat situations by the time you want to get them, because to efficiently farm these, you're gonna need late game gear, like incredibly late game gear. But just the novelty of having these incredibly rare items. Some of them are like 1 in 1,000 drop chance, I think. But just having them is good enough, I think. And that's what makes them all the more desirable. Alright guys, that's about it for the Ranger class. Next up we've got Mage, which only has 2 weapons as a change to the 3 of the previous 2. But these weapons are still going to be worth checking out nonetheless. Alright, first of all we've got the Vesuvius, I believe that's pronounced. This is a legendary drop from Betsy, which is the dragon you fight in Old One's army. And once again it looks incredibly cool, as all of these weapons do. And yeah, let's see what it does. Alright, left click is... it's like an upgraded version of the Meteor Staff. And I love that weapon, so this is favoured by me. 15,000 damage, seems very good. And for the right click... okay, it fires a beam from the actual staff rather than from the sky. So there's a lot of variety within this weapon, and it is quite powerful. Maybe this will even be a good weapon for like the old Duke and Poltergeist. I'd maybe not say Devourer of Gods, because he's hard to hit, obviously. Alright, for multiple enemies, seems to be slightly higher, but not all that impacted by it. Yeah, it's pretty much the same, a slight increase from blast radius. But as always, let's give this a test on good old Providence. Okay, this seems significantly less powerful on the actual boss. But it's still doing bits, it's still doing well. And this is probably the stronger of the 2 weapons, if I had to be honest. Because Betsy is quite a like late hard mode enemy. Oh god damn it, he's gonna transform now, and I just used Adrenaline. Alright, yeah, it does seem that the Meteor Rain is the significantly stronger spell. But this is more situational. No, that's not a word. More situational. So yeah, it is like the way that the Blizzard Staff and the Razorpine complement each other, or the Terror Ray in terms of mods. One's for the DPS, one's more versatile, that kind of situation. So yeah, this is another incredibly nice mage weapon. Alright guys, for the next weapon we have, it is the SHPC, which I believe is dropped from the Destroyer. This seems like a very unique weapon. It only does 74 magic damage, but of course you fight the Destroyer very early on. Let's see what it does. Okay. It fires these orbs, which might have their own properties. We'll test it in a moment. Or... ooh, okay, I think I like this weapon now. That's the right click attack, by the way. It seems somewhat like a rapid laser machine gun that instantly starts. Okay, let's see what it does. Ooh, that effect is very cool, actually. But doesn't seem too powerful considering. Very nice though. And for this, what are we looking at? Around 6,000, 5,000 DPS. But still pretty cool. Alright, let's give this a go on Providence and see how it goes. Yeah, I feel like most of these are quite strong enough. Just like slightly lagging behind in terms of DPS. If you could get these earlier, maybe you could use them for like Ostrom Juice or something. For some of them, like Ravager, Plague Ringer, Goliath. And then others like the Cosmic Discharge you can use much later. It all just depends on who the boss drops from and the scaling I can't even speak. The developers want you to get it from. Alright, let's get some adrenaline out. We're looking at about, on applied DPS, about 4,000 damage I think, if not less. And when you pop adrenaline, about 7,000. Let's try out this thing, I haven't given it a chance to shine. Wait, I just saw a big peak. Oh, that was a lucky peak there, it's all good. Seems, once again, this would be good for crowd control, this is good for single target. That's a consistent theme for these mage weapons, or just legendary weapons in general. Yeah, overall, personally, I'm not too big of a fan of this one. Just because it seems pretty standard after comparing it to something like the Cosmic Discharge or the Vesuvius. Just, there's a lot more variety in other weapons, but a nice weapon nonetheless. Okay, next up, that's everything in terms of mage weapons, so we're on to the next class, which is a rogue. There's only one rogue weapon as well as one summon, unfortunately. This is the Malachite. I don't exactly know what it does, but it seems very effective. 249 rogue damage, 2 different attacks. Yeah, let's see what it does. Okay. Oh, okay, I like this weapon already. So, rapid fire daggers that have a trajectory, I guess, or extreme, like, instant daggers that are slightly slower, but I'm guessing do slightly more damage, and it pierces. Okay, oops, I'm testing it in the wrong order. First of all, what are we looking at? Okay, about 5,000 DPS around. Yeah, I'd say that. And this one does significantly less, but around 3,500, 2,500 to 3,500 seems a good range. But obviously it pierces. Right, for single target. Wait, for multi-target, sorry. The left click attack seems quite good, honestly, because it does explode slightly, which makes it quite useful, I guess. And then for the pierce, it also explodes, doing significantly more damage than left click. Alright, I really like the way this weapon functions, but how does it perform? Let's see. Obviously, this is a legendary drop from the Plaguebringer Goliath, so I'm expecting this to be slightly stronger than some which we've seen already. Okay. Personally, I prefer this for boss fights. The good old right click seems a lot more effective in terms of keeping tabs on bosses. I don't play this much Rogue, but this might actually be a viable weapon for Providence when you fight it. I don't really know the Rogue class all that well. Oh god, sorry for the lag, Jesus. I don't know why my game is doing this, but that seems to be breaking it slightly. And if you can hit your shots, this does seem very effective. Okay. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this thing. It's not the strongest by any means, but still an incredibly cool weapon. Okay everyone, this is the last weapon for today's review, the last legendary drop from all of these. It's called the Cold Divinity. It drops from Cryogen, which is a very early hard mode boss. And let's see what it does. Okay. Ooh, this is strange, but it looks very nice. Whoa. I have no idea what this does, but it looks incredible. The little worm there, that's not related. But it's a set bonus for the Auric Tesla armor. Okay, so it slams into enemies. Okay. It does like 1,000 damage per hit, which is incredible. But I don't think it's really usable. Wait. Maybe it is? I couldn't tell you. It does look very strong, but it doesn't seem to have range, does it? This might not go well, but maybe. Ooh, that is incredibly cool. Oh my god. I was not having expectations for this weapon at all. But this might be one of the strongest weapons we've done today. Look at that! I know I've got the space helmet helping it out, but this is still incredibly nice. This weapon is very cool. And the design of it works extremely well for bosses of any kind, because the homing is going to make it very viable. Let's see, without the help of that beam, looks like it's doing about 10,000 DPS when it does hit. And it doesn't seem like the Auric Tesla set is doing too much. Yeah. So the Cold Heart Icicle is doing about 80% of the work here, I'd say. And I really like this weapon. Honestly, it may seem a bit weird, but this might be my favourite weapon for today's review. And a brilliant way of ending off. Jesus. Right, let's kill Provenance with this. And mind you, this weapon is one you can obtain straight after getting into hard mode. Literally the first recommended boss for hard mode, and it's this powerful. This just exceeds all expectations, even with the help. That is incredible. And that is all the legendary weapons. Well, that was certainly something. Honestly, all of those weapons we just saw are all incredible. They're all very diverse. I don't really know how they'd work when you're supposed to obtain them, but the novelty of having those weapons is just incredible, and they all seem quite effective, all things considered. My personal three favourites would be the Malachite, which is the rogue weapon. Obviously this, although it's not the strongest, still a very cool weapon, and seems quite versatile, all things considered. The Cold Divinity is obviously going to be one of them, it's insane. What else is there to say? Lastly, the Cosmic Discharge. Obviously it's the strongest of them, so of course it's going to be my favourite. And even without a melee oriented loadout, we're looking at 150,000 DPS, it's just insane. Overall, I think the legendary weapons are a really nice addition. Although they're not obtainable to most players, I think it's very nice that the game has these kind of items. And overall, I wish they hopefully add some more in the future updates. Alright, that's going to be the end for this video, guys. My apologies if you don't like the talking format. A lot of people requested it from my Discord, so I figured although I'm not the best at commentary, I'd give it a go for this, just to please that audience. But I'll be returning to the original stuff if people don't like it. In the meantime, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you, guys.